So the market is somewhat on a little bit of a pullback, but this creates great opportunity depending on your personal perspective. Now in today's video, we're going to be looking at Bitcoin on Base and Bitcoin on Cash to see, are these two community tokens worth it? Now, a lot of people may not understand, but it's using that same OG meta and narrative that the original Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash have. So before we look at the charts, here are 4 quick points that you must know about these two. Number 1, the narrative. And the narrative is giving you a second chance at Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash on Base, which now takes us to the second key point, as you can see, which sums up the narrative as a whole: scarcity and a potential store of value, right? Because as the supply decreases, hopefully that demand increases, and as it is less and less on the market for people to buy, that is what creates that scarcity, right? And hopefully creates a higher price point for each individual token, and that's the whole thing that they're trying to do, right? And this is why we have supply shocks with Bitcoin when it goes through the Bitcoin halving, right? So the next thing is strong communities. Both of these have very strong communities. Now Bitcoin on Base, of course, is the alpha over the two, of course, just like Bitcoin is the alpha over Bitcoin Cash when we talk about market cap and things of that nature. But when we talk about the adoption of markets using, technically Bitcoin Cash has more adoption when it comes to being used as a currency than actual Bitcoin, right? All around the world. A lot of people don't know that, but it's actually true. And on top of that, as we know, Bitcoin is the #1 crypto in all of crypto, and Bitcoin Cash is still a top 20 in all of crypto, and I believe it's number 16 right now, just outside of the top 15. So these are super strong OG blue chips that a lot of people already know about and understand. And so if they have the ability to potentially, quote unquote, get a second chance at it, some people are going to take that chance, which takes us to the last key point. These narratives are easy to understand, especially for normies, right? And so this is why I think both of these have the potential to do some pretty good things in this bull cycle. But again, only time will tell. So when we look at the chart, starting with Bitcoin on Base, as I said when we were looking at the key points, it is the alpha out of the two. It has a 6.3 million market cap. Liquidity is right around that 10% threshold, which is something you want to see. And you can see it has over 11,000 holders and over 600K in 24-hour value. And as you look right here, in my opinion, I could see us potentially falling here at this level if things keep dropping, and then us potentially bouncing, but only time will tell. As you can see, circulating supply, it has the same supply. Both of these have the same exact supply as Bitcoin does, 21 million. However, they've already burned quite a bit of the supply, as well as Bitcoin Cash. You can see under 16 million is in circulation. And then if we head over to Bitcoin Cash here, you can see the market cap is exceptionally lower compared to Bitcoin on Base, 264K. Liquidity is just under 50K and over 1,300 holders, right? And 100,000 in 24-hour value. Also, you can see this was launched June 15th. You go to Bitcoin on Base, was launched May 26th, right? So again, Bitcoin on Base is the alpha out of the two, the bigger project, the more well-known, the more adopted on BaseChain. But again, both of these does present some type of an opportunity. So we'll see as the market starts to rally back up how these do. But Bitcoin on Base definitely is doing pretty well. As you look at the circulating supply for Bitcoin Cash, you can see 15.9 million. So they both have under 16 million in circulation, right? And so as you can see, there are only 15.84 million tokens remaining. If you look here, the contract is renounced. The liquidity is burned, and as you can see, over 24% of the original 21 million tokens is burned. If you go to Bitcoin Cash on Base, you can see only 15.9 million Bitcoin on Cash on Base remains. If you look here, contract renounced, liquidity locked, 25% of the supply is burned. So both of these have the supply constantly dwindling down, which is why they're really talking about digital scarcity and potential store of value if people look at it that way. But again, I still look at this as kind of like a meme / community token, right? So in my opinion, people need to understand. I know I probably don't need to say this, but if I do need to say this, this is not the original Bitcoin. This is not the original Bitcoin Cash, right? These are community tokens on BaseChain that is inspired by the original narrative of Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. And when Bitcoin on Base first came out, it did exceptionally well. Community was really strong, and it still is strong today. We're just seeing the market somewhat a little bit down, which you're always going to see engagement a little bit down when the market is down. So again, keep that in mind if you're potentially looking into getting into Bitcoin on Base and Bitcoin on Cash. And so real quick, if we do a quick scroll on both of the websites, you got Bitcoin on Base, and of course you have the scarcity and the scalability of Bitcoin on Base, because you have the same supply of 21 million tokens on top of having the scalability of being on BaseChain, while giving people a second chance at a quote unquote cheaper Bitcoin that allows people to get into, right? And so that's kind of the whole narrative between the two. But remember, as I said before, this is not the original Bitcoin, and this is not the original Bitcoin Cash, all right? And if you look at Bitcoin Cash here, they're also going to have the contract address for you. And then also Bitcoin Cash is going to tell you Bitcoin Cash on Base is a premier blue chip opportunity on Base and the only alternative store value to Bitcoin on Base. And one thing I like about this is the fact that they're acknowledging Bitcoin on Base. They're not trying to say we're the Bitcoin on Base killer. No, they're saying we're their alternative. We're the next one up to Bitcoin, right? So I do like that, and it shows humility for the project. You look right here, 100% liquidity burn. There's no tax on either one of these. And again, we've already looked at the current supply, right? So I'm going to have all of these social links down in the description, the contract address, their Twitter, and the website. Now, disclaimer, yes, I do own both of these. I got a small bag in both of these because I do think the narrative is strong enough to create some pretty good gains going into this bull run when things really start to rev back up. But again, just because I'm talking about something, just because I have a bag in something, just because I'm bullish on something, doesn't mean you have to be, right? Use my channel as information and different opportunities that make sense to you, right? And this is where I think some people kind of fall short. They say, well, Mike's talking about this, I'm not interested, so I'm going to stop watching. That's perfectly fine, because when I'm giving you so many opportunities, you can't expect that all of them are going to be for you, right? And it also depends on your financial situation and how you're doing everything. So again, take these opportunities that I'm presenting to you, figure out which ones make sense to you, and then go from there, right? And so again, when I was only talking about a few cryptos, people always ask, Mike, can you talk about more? Can you talk about more? And now that I'm giving great opportunities to people, people are saying, well, Mike, you're talking about so much. Well, what I'm trying to show you is we are in a bull market, right? Regardless of the market being pulled back a little bit. And so in a bear market, I'm not talking about all of these because the opportunity isn't there. But when we're in a bull market, there's so many opportunities to make gains. And so it's all about your perspective. And this is why I'm exposing myself to different opportunities in this space, right? So again, you have to figure out what strategy works best for you. But for those that watched it to this point, hopefully you got some gems out of this, and I will catch you all on Wednesday.